Field security in Sage CRM allows your system administrator to define how users can access the fields on a screen. For example, it is possible to make a field invisible to some users, allow others to view the contents of the field but not make changes, and to grant still others both read and write access. In this tutorial, we'll take a look at this feature and run through an example to illustrate how it works. Importantly, you'll need system administrator rights to access this function. So now let's jump right in and get started. Here we're logged in as John Finch, a member of our sales team, and we're looking at the company summary tab for Gatecom, one of our customers. John's user account was set up using the sales rep security profile, and this allows him to view all of the fields on this screen. He's also able to edit any of these fields by hitting the change button. Here you can see that all of the fields are open for editing. Let's hit cancel, and using the account manager field as our example, let's take a look at how field security can be used to affect access to this field. For our demonstration, we have 2 sessions of Sage CRM open. In the current one, as we just mentioned, we're logged in as John Finch, and moving to our other browser tab, here we're logged in as the system administrator. We'll be toggling between these sessions to show the effects of our changes to the field security. So now let's get underway by going to Administration, Customization, then Company. And here we've landed on the Fields tab. Again, the field we'll be using for our example is the Account Manager at the top of the list. Notice that on the far right we have the Field Security column that we can edit by clicking the pencil icon. By default, the Field Security allows read and write access to everyone. In other words, all users can view and edit this field. So let's suppose that we would like all of our users to have full access to this field except John Finch. To restrict John's access, we'll add a new line here by clicking New. We can set security on an individual field by user, team, or profile. So by selecting the team option, we could choose a specific team and the restriction would apply to all members of that team. And by selecting the profile option, we could apply a restriction to all users that have been assigned that profile. We're going to choose the user option and select John Finch for our example, then click Save. And here's the line we just added for our user, John Finch. Notice that the modification date is displayed here. Let's suppose that we want to allow John to view but not edit the Account Manager field. So we'll leave the read access set to allow, and we'll set the write access to deny. So now let's take a look at the effect by viewing the other session of Sage CRM where we are logged in as John Finch. Notice that the Account Manager field remains visible on the screen, but when we hit Change, you can see that it can no longer be edited by John. Let's hit Cancel and go back to the System Administrator session. Now let's change John's read access to Deny, which will make the field invisible on his screen. Notice that when we do this, the write access is now grayed out, since if you can't see the field, then you obviously can't edit it. So now let's return to John's session of Sage CRM and take a look. Notice that the Account Manager field is still visible, and that's because we need to refresh his screen, which we'll do by clicking on the Summary tab. And now we can see that the field has disappeared from John's screen. And just to confirm, we'll click Change, and it's not present in edit mode either. Let's again hit Cancel and return to the System Administrator session. Now let's review a few important rules regarding field security. First, field access is ultimately defined by the everyone rights that apply to every user in the system. So for example, if the read access on everyone is set to deny, then John will not be able to see this field even if his read access is set to allow. And second, if either the user's assigned team or security profile deny read and/or write access, then whatever we allow here for John will be overridden. Now let's look at one last item, and that's the required field checkbox. This allows you to require that information be entered into a field in order for the changes to be saved. So let's check the required box and then set John's access to allow read and write. Now we'll jump back over to John's session And once again, we'll click the tab to refresh the screen. There's the Account Manager field, and if we hit Change, notice the asterisk beside the field denoting that it is a required field. So if we set the field to unassigned, it won't allow us to save our entries until we select a user in the field. And that completes our tutorial. Give us a call if you need assistance with this or any other feature in your Sage CRM system. Well, that's it for this tutorial. Bye for now.